Okay, so this is just going to be a quick tutorial on how to do underport skip for Jack 2. I'm going to start from when you're leaving the metalhead match just for like continuity so you can see the whole thing in one sequence. Where it's pretty basic. I'll go and then hover up. For reference, that bottom like kind of darker line is the line that like where kind of collision stops on these. So once you clear that, you're pretty much good to go. And depending on if you're comfortable with doing crouch jumps, I find that's the easiest way to get up here. Kind of like one of those extended front flips. Brings you right up here. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always just swim up, kind of line yourself, and then do like a spin hop. Either way works. And then from here, basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to load the elevator. So what you do is you don't want to be too far this way, kind of about that like that line right there. If you're kind of on the left of that, you're going to get stuck in the elevator. Also, he trips here a lot for some reason. But yeah, so I always just creep as close as I can here, because it doesn't hurt to be kind of closer to this side. Yeah, you see what I mean. So like, you'll get stuck in there. So kind of just stick to this side of the wall. And I zoom the camera in forward to kind of get the camera already kind of prepped to do what I want it to do, because what you want to do is have it you want to have it kind of sweep around in like this and hit the door, which kind of like deloads the top part and then loads the underport. That makes sense. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna kind of like trick the game to get that door there. Then I'm gonna point him towards the elevator like this, because I'm gonna want to eventually do a punch board down there. Something that can be tricky here is if the elevator seems like it's taking a while to load, it's probably because you loaded it once and then it kind of despawned like this, and then you just kind of have to wait to let it come back. It will, like, always come back. It just feels like it's taking forever. The reason that happens is because if you move the camera like too far away or you move out too fast, it'll deload, and it'll sometimes like when you're still learning it, it'll feel frustrating because you'll be like, oh, you know, I can't get it to stay, so how can I do the trick? And the reason is because you're not keeping the camera close enough by like tilting the R stick up, or you're just kind of walking too far from it or walking too fast from it. So usually what I do is once I'm here, I kind of inch out to where I know he can like clear the elevator wall without clipping in, and then I kind of don't really need to move out anymore. The last part of the setup that I do is once he's looking the right way, I kind of bring it around like this, and then I punch board forward once I'm at a good angle there. That way I don't have to like punch board like when the camera is like facing the same way Jack is going, like when I pan it. That way it's like I don't have to move the analog stick anywhere special. I just literally punch board like forward, and then I know he'll do it. And you'll notice what I did here. When you kind of go too close to the elevator, you'll actually spawn the room, which is like, you know, really bad, because then you can't do the second part of the whole thing. Yeah, but yeah, so that's actually really good to know. I can show you again. I'll probably do a quick edit and get back here and then like show you another thing that can go wrong. Yeah, like I was saying, if the camera goes too close to the door, ultimately you want that to happen to finish loading the area, but you don't want it to happen while you're still in this room, because that means you're trapped and you can't really do anything, because there's going to be a door here and that door which doesn't open, to my knowledge, once it's loaded. So you want it to only load once you've already like started a hover over there, and you're not really in here, you're out of bounds, but the level exists. So, and that sounds really complicated, but basically the gist of it is you want to do a hover out of a side flip over there, close enough to where you spawn the rest of the room. But by that point, you're already hovering. And then like I said, where you're tugging the camera is kind of the point, because once you're out there, you'll have pulled it past the door. And a visual cue that I like to use, because from this point, it's kind of intimidating, because you do have to aim it over there to be able to land in the final room. If you want a safe strat, you can do, when I started out I did this, I didn't actually aim for the elevator room because it's a lot smaller. You can land anywhere in that big room, and then you can actually access the elevator by like hovering through a little like hole up at the top. I can just probably do both so you can see. The easy strat is a lot easier to aim. Basically anywhere, like there's like a line here, like from the top of Jack's head over to here, there's like a side of like a polygon. Basically that's like your window, and mostly just kind of the anywhere in the rough center of that. Kind of a nice view, because I usually do it from feeling, but now that I think about it, there's like that weird little like octopus thing over there. That's actually kind of a good frame of reference to kind of where to aim, because you kind of want to be a little more to the right of that, but not by much. So kind of you see where that's at. Jack's kind of looking almost right in the center of that line, so you can also use that. Yeah, so I'll just show you the easier strat. Just do the side flip, and you saw there was kind of like my vision was obscured for a sec, and that was because that wall loaded, and that's how you know you got like flat. That's how you know you've got like the area to spawn, because when the camera passes by, the wall will appear, which indicates that like all these walls are here, which is really nice. But yeah, so this is like, if you don't feel like you're ready to aim for that room across that door, you can stand like kind of here around like that star, and then go straight up, and then that's kind of like, that window obviously is very wide, you can see, but you want to go pretty high up because you don't want to like clip back in bounds, which is pretty easy to do, because like the wall there is like weird and ambiguous, and then once you're in here, you're good, and that's the ignition. The only problem is you don't start the ignition until you touch the ground over there and the cutscene starts, so you don't want to like freak out and then like roll in there, because then you have to redo everything. Which, for the sake of this, I'll do so I can show you like the other setup. When you do that, it puts you back here and you're back in the elevator. If you did want to reset the trick, I like looking up because then you see the deloaded loop. But yeah, if you need to reset the trick, you know, basically all you do is you go back up the elevator and hover over like this. Sometimes you can like move far back enough to where you can kind of just immediately land here, but whatever. Sometimes you'll get clipped like this, and when that happens, if you just kind of wiggle the stick out and keep fighting, you'll get out. Similarly there, drag the camera, make sure it passes by the thing. Again, you'll see that little urchin guy kind of aim. You kind of, now that I think about it, it's maybe a little bit more on the left side of the center here, so you kind of stand there. And with this angle, this will be close enough to the door. You don't have to worry too bad. It's mostly like if you're over here, you're not going to get the door to load. If you're like past that little apex, like where Jack's head is, you want to kind of creep in there a little bit, kind of stay on this side. Do the front flip. Sometimes I mash a little harder to make sure I don't hit the ceiling, but you rarely ever need to worry about hitting the ceiling. And if you aim high enough, you can usually correct it. You saw I was a little bit too on the right, even there. And if you're high enough, sometimes if you kind of double tap a little bit, you can kind of fall and correct it. Usually somewhere halfway down, I'll do a spin to kind of give myself a little bit extra movement. But yeah, that's the gist of that. From there, you literally just roll, and you're on this mission. So yeah.